All right, I get it. You've been told that you should be networking. Even you're just an introvert and it's kind of hard for you to reach out to people to begin with. So how can you effectively network using social media? It is so exciting. The world is opening up and people are performing again live on stage. In fact, just the other day, I went to see an incredible performance of Hadestown. Now, where does that leave you as the performing artist who wants to get back on stage? I know there are some nerves involved, and I also know that there's this question of, how do I book the gigs? How do I network with the decision makers so that I can actually have a head start in terms of booking the gig? So it's not all just a matter of what happens in the audition room where there's no relationship, right? Because you probably realize that a lot of the time, the same people seem to keep booking the gigs, right? And part of that is because they've built relationships with the decision makers. So the topic of today's training is, how can you network with decision makers specifically by using social media? But how can you do it in a really positive, completely non-spammy way? Sound good? Hi, I'm Fiona. I am your business coach for performing artists, covering all things mindset, marketing, and monetization. Join my free Facebook group, follow me on Instagram, and definitely check out the links in the description below for all kinds of free resources, including a free 2-hour masterclass all about social media. All right, I get it. You've been told that you should be networking, right? But it's kind of not working. You feel awkward, or maybe you feel like, you don't want to be spammy, or you don't want to make a bad impression, so you just don't even try, or you don't know where to get started, or even you're just an introvert and it's kind of hard for you to reach out to people to begin with in any kind of situation. Does that sound familiar, any of this? I know that I check a lot of those boxes, including just kind of generally being an introvert, even if I don't seem like one on video. Not only that, but I hate it when people spam me, and I really hate it when people spam me their links, and this happens a lot. I don't know if you're doing it. If you are, stop. That's not what this is about. It's not about dropping your, hey, check out my new music video. You sound just like a network marketer going, hey girl, and then following up with whatever it is you want them to do or buy, right? It's the same with the dropping of your music links or other kind of performance links. Just don't do that. That is spam. So we don't want to be pushy, we don't want to be spammy, and there is another way. But unfortunately, you don't really know the other way, and you're not doing it, and so you're not booking the gigs, and you're watching the other people who seem like they book everything, right? So how can you effectively network using social media? And I know that you're afraid to get this wrong, because just recently in my Facebook group, Profitable Performer Community, which I definitely invite you to join, somebody commented about how they didn't feel ready to reach out to agents. And I want you to get past this idea of like needing to be ready. Ready for what, right? Let's take some action. So here are 5 steps that are really going to help you. Okay, so step 1 is to research and then follow the decision makers, right? Who are the people that you want to network with? Well, you need to do some research, maybe create a spreadsheet. Make sure that they're relevant, make sure that they're people that could actually help your career. And on top of that, make sure that they're people that you actually respect and like, because part of this is all about building rapport, and we want to be coming from a place of authenticity and integrity, which means that you don't want to be making stuff up. You want to reach out to people who you truly admire and who it will be easy to come up with conversational topics, okay? First of all, you did your research. Now we're on social media and you did your follow. The next thing is to comment on their posts. It sounds so simple, right? You're gonna thoughtfully comment on the post. And this, again, is why you wanna choose people for your list who you actually admire, who you actually will find it easy to comment on, right? They're actually in your genre. It makes sense that you're reaching out to them, not just in terms of you booking jobs, but also in terms of your interests. So clearly, you're going to comment on the posts that have to do with the performing, right? So maybe they're a casting director and they just cast a stage play that you're aware of, and then maybe you've seen it, or maybe you think that it's great choices for casting. Then you would put a thoughtful comment there, agreeing or expressing your appreciation, etc. But you can also comment on their lifestyle shares, right? Maybe their pet is cute, maybe their travel to France inspired you. You can comment thoughtfully on all of their posts, right? But not in a weird way. You know the line between weird and uncomfortable and just like thoughtful comments. You can think about the kinds of comments that you appreciate receiving from strangers on the internet and do that, right? Don't do the ones that would ever make you feel uncomfortable. Now, it gets really good when you have done your research. And at this point, you can slip into their DMs and actually have a conversation that goes deeper into something relevant to them, right? Maybe they recently had a blog or an article published somewhere. Well, you can comment. You can say, I read it, and here's my takeaway, and here's a follow-up question, for example. Everybody, the decision makers who you feel like have got a lot of power, are also people, and they care about having their work be appreciated just like you do. So this is actually so much easier than you think it is. You just think about, well, what if you were them? What kinds of comments and what kind of engagement would you want to receive? And then do that. It's all about creating meaningful connection and real conversation. Again, going back to making sure that the list that you started with is one that you can, in integrity and with authenticity, you have an awareness of who they are. And if you didn't already, then you've done your research before you start having these conversations. Make sense? Now, as I said earlier, when you get into their DMs, do not spam them with your links. Ever. Okay? Unless they ask for them. Now that's a whole different story and we're not there yet, right? So tip 4 is to never make it about yourself and always make it about them. You're creating relationship, you're creating rapport until it naturally comes to you. The conversation may naturally swing towards you, in which case they will ask or they will look at your profile, at which point it is very important that you have an optimized profile, right? Your IG bio, your picture, your grid itself, all of this is your calling card. The second that a decision maker sees your profile, they need to immediately get a sense of who you are and how they would cast you. And if you don't know how to get that across, then definitely watch the social media masterclass in the description below, okay? This is why we need a personal brand, so that when that decision maker gets onto your grid, it's like, oh yes, I know exactly who this person is and I'm excited about them. Because that was the whole point of having this conversation in the first place, right? Of building the relationship. Yes, they'll remember you if you get into the room with them, but we also want them getting onto your account, because your account is the audition as well, right? You should have plenty of photos that get across your vibe, but also performance clips, so that when a decision maker comes to your profile, they're immediately seeing who you are and what you do and how amazing you are, right? And honestly, that's the 5th tip, is building that personal brand and developing an engaged community, so that when the decision maker comes to your profile, they not only see how amazing you are, but they see how amazing your community thinks you are as well. So that means that people are engaging with your posts and it's clear that you've got fans and a following. Make sense? Now, one more thing that you can do, this is like a bonus tip, is you can tag these people in your stories or in your posts when it is relevant. Now, I do not mean, again, spam tagging them in order to get them to see you. I mean what I did the other night when I went to see Hadestown. I saw Hadestown and I was like, gosh, this was absolutely incredible. So when I shared my photo of the program to my stories to let my audience know that I had gone to see this great show, I also tagged all of the performers because I thought that they had done an amazing job. And so that's what I said. I said, what an amazing cast. And then I tagged the performers and that's it, right? It was about them. It was not about me. Now here's the thing. Any performing artist could be my ideal client. So it was a perfect thing for me to do for my business, but it was also a lovely thing for them, right? You're a performing artist. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It feels good when people acknowledge your work, right? So let's say you go to see a band at a specific venue, then perhaps you're tagging the venue if that's a venue you want to perform at, or you're tagging the band if they're a band you want to open for, or you see a movie and you tag, obviously it's not going to work if this is an A-list actor or director, but we're talking like an independent film, right? This production of Hadestown that I saw were wonderful actors, but they weren't all Broadway stars. And so there was a chance that they would see my story. In fact, one of them replied and thanked me for it. And that made me feel good as well, right? So think a lot about giving and less about receiving. The receiving is a natural part of the giving, but it's the giving that's going to get this networking thing really spinning for you. Making a positive impression as someone who is generous and knowledgeable, right? Knowledgeable about what the other person does in the industry. Now remember, networking works in a lot of different ways, not just in terms of booking roles and getting the attention of industry gatekeepers. It can also work great in terms of meeting colleagues and getting together to do collabs. It's also a great way to meet students and attract them to your profile. It's a great way to nourish relationships with your fans, etc. So anybody who you want to have in your world following you on social media is a great person to network with, not just those gatekeepers and decision makers. Make sense? Okay, I hope that this video was super helpful and that you now feel like it's not such a big deal or so hard to start with the networking. Because honestly, networking is going to really help you when it comes to getting the gigs now that we can go back to performing on stage and in person. It's so exciting. Okay, I do have this free Facebook group. I invite you to join. Follow me on Instagram. I'm there every day. Let me know in the comments below what other topics that you'd like me to cover to help you rock your business as a performing artist. And once again, I do have a social media masterclass for you. It's 2 full hours. It's jam-packed. You can get that link in the description as well. Now, if you liked this video, go ahead and watch these videos next. And as always, go out into the world and let your light shine. You deserve to be heard, and the world deserves to hear you.